Hi, Denise Dryden here. I'm going to do a video today on your relationship with being uncomfortable. And this is a weekly series that I do on Facebook Live, and you can check in on Denise Dryden Coaching on my website as well as my Facebook page, and always track these different topics that come up. So today it was interesting to sort of come up with this concept of what do we do when we're uncomfortable, because it's sort of like we notice that there's this agitation, there's this irritation inside of us, something's not right and we don't like it. And it's like something's entered into our area, into our field, and it's like, I just don't like where I am right now. So this is based on our perception of reality. This is ours alone. It's not really affecting anybody else unless it's something big that's kind of communal or collective. But this is about you, and this is based on like how you've been programmed to hear, to see, to taste, to touch, to smell stuff. It's like how we were raised. When we were little, it was like we scan, we record, and we play back. So this is what the world is. This is what the world is. This is what it means to me. And so this is based on what you took on over all of the years in your lifetime. And it means that this is your energetic signature. It's your signature of all the experiences and decisions and choices you've been exposed to up until now. So let's just walk through this a little bit. When someone comes along and pushes the edges of where you're comfortable and where you're not comfortable, you know, it gets into your comfort zone, and we feel it. We feel it enter. We feel something happen, and or when we have to say something to someone else that we don't want to do, or anything that sort of brings up that uncomfortable feeling. It's in our bodies. It's in our minds. It's in every part of us that's in reaction. When we feel this, we go into, I'm going to identify 4 main areas of what we do. So we feel uncomfortable, we get some agitation. The first thing is, I don't like this, I want to fix it. Sound familiar? Fix it. I'm going to manage it, I'm going to make it go away. And this is where that sort of codependent behavior comes up, where we help, we rescue, we try to do something so that uncomfortable feeling goes away. Makes sense. Number 2 is we blame it, which is, if you would stop doing that, then I would. And we see this in kids a lot. We see this with our teens, especially in marriages or relationships where there's conflict, is that it's your fault. If you didn't do that, then I wouldn't. And what I notice is that there's a lot of shame and blame in this. And there's also sort of intrinsically the issue about control. So the third one is, I'm starting to feel it and I want to run. I want to put some distance between me and this feeling as soon as possible. So it's flight, it's avoidance. It's where we just, nope, don't see it, not going to deal with it. Make sense? Yeah, I thought so. Okay, so the fourth one is, what do we do when we numb it, right? Which is shut down our response system. Which is, like I'm going to drink, I'm going to do screens, I'm going to watch television, I'm going to do a whole lot of things to just numb that out so I can't feel it. What we know first is that when we feel it in our bodies. When we shift, then we shift our minds from our bodies into this reaction like, what was that? And we start to figure it out, and then we go, ooh, no, this is what I'm going to do with that. So it comes into our field, it comes into our energy first, then it goes up to our minds for context, and then our mind goes, yeah, this is what I know how to do. This is my pattern. This is how I know how to fix this. So we use our memory banks to access these familiar feelings or these familiar responses, and we correlate them. So it's an automatic conditioned response. When this happens, I know it feels like that. I've experienced this before, and this is what I know how to do. So it's an experience, a conditioned response. So there's this movie that I've known for years. It's Thrive, and it's from the Thrive movement, and it was a documentary made in 2011. You can find it on Netflix, I believe. If not, you can Google Thrive Movement. And John Gallo, who has been involved in American education for decades, said, and I quote from the movie, "The education system in the United States is established to create fixed habits of response to authority. fixed habits of response to authority. You are taught to respond reflexively when anyone in a position of authority tells you what to do. You're conditioned to respond reflexively to anything that someone in position of authority does. And it takes a solid 12 years to embed this, which means that for 12 years, it's about creating cause and effect on authority, cause and effect on competition, cause and effect on a lot of different things. With this conditioning and the way that we react, this is our conditioned response. This makes sense. So we feel uncomfortable, we feel something come into our field, we feel something in our body, and we have these conditioned responses. Some of them are intrinsic that belong to us, and some of them are embedded and programmed into us from outside. These are involving our perceptions and our own realities. So we have these set responses that we feel in our bodies, and when we have these feelings in our bodies, we also have these behaviors that emerge that are ours. And there are behaviors that we try to manage. So there's all these cause and effects. So you can sort of see how I'm starting to chain them all together, right? So for those who are energetically sensitive, someone who's a highly sensitive person, someone who's empathic, someone who's energetically reactive, they can see all this. And this is the part that is the most interesting. We can probably see this when we tap into that within ourselves. But those that are energetically sensitive, they see all of this happening because they have different perceptions and different realities of what they notice. So just to bring this home, as a parent, you have a child that can see all of the cause and effects that you can't see. Push a little bit on this, mom goes, wah! Then she goes over and then she goes, and she tries to, and it's just measurable and it's entertaining. I can make her do this, I can make her do that, I can make her do this. And the hard part is that they also watch how the outer world affects you, and they can see your automatic responses. So when you have limited worldviews, when you have a very protected comfort zone, or when you're uncomfortable with being uncomfortable, and they know that there are fears running the show, it means that you're completely exposed. You're completely vulnerable. Energetically sensitive children and people can see things from so many different levels. They see things from the multidimensional level. They see patterns and shifts in the subtleties. They're highly observant. They're curious. And they notice when something's off, and something's off in you. And they notice what you do when it's off, and then they pattern this. They copy it. They scan, record. Got it? So they see us in our rigid realities, and their job is to expand us, to expand our perceptions. So they tell truths, and they push our buttons. And sometimes, they do it at such a great cost in trauma, because no one likes a kid who's like pushing the buttons and saying, hey mom, you're lying to me. Or dad, you're in reaction, this isn't real. So sometimes what we end up doing with children who are pointing out our truths and pushing our buttons is we overmanage, we shame, we control, and we try to embed in them some more programming, which is we don't do that in public. We don't say that to your grandmother. You hurt my feelings, you can't say that. As opposed to, hey, what is it that you see? Tell me more. So we bring them into our comfort zone and we ask them to conform, and we force them because it makes us feel more comfortable, and we don't understand that they're feeling uncomfortable. So we have comfortable and uncomfortable going back and forth among these family systems. So, what we can't do is we've got to learn how to say, this makes me uncomfortable, and I need to be able to do something about that. And when we are uncomfortable around truth tellers and visionaries and innocence, we have to realize that there's something that they need from us that we're not able to see. The quote that I have down here is Mommy, why are you mad all the time? Or why are you always mean to Dad when he comes in the room? Or Dad, why is it you don't ever look up and look me in the eye? What is that about? And these are those kind of things that you go like, oh no, they can see this. So here's the beautiful part. When we can identify the edges of our lives where we have these conditionings and these feelings that come up that sort of spur something in us, right? They stir it up. Then we can notice how our body's feeling, and we can see what the reaction is. We notice when it moves around. Oh man, it's getting bigger It's getting smaller. It's related to this person. It's when I'm in that environment. We notice where the edge starts to shift in the perceptions. We get to sit with that edge and explore it, which is I'm right on it and I'm so uncomfortable and I haven't figured out what's causing that yet. What is that? And is this useful to me? Why is it here? And what do I do to make it bigger? What do I do to make it smaller? And I wonder what's on the other side of all of this uncomfortableness. These are the kind of questions that we're going to go through in this module. Like that? So Brene Brown calls this the wilderness. The wilderness, going out into the wilderness and going to the unknown and not knowing if you're going to live or die or survive, but you've got to go there. I come from the system of adolescent and young adult programs, therapeutic care, and we send actual kids, teens, and young adults into the wilderness so that they can discover their own edges and grow. And with adults, we use things like daily intensives. We do online courses, workshops, ropes courses, anything we can do to discover our own edges and how they affect us and how they affect others. So our children are now here to take us out of these old conditionings. They're here to teach us, they're here to teach us how to be different with our grandchildren, with our neighbors, with our community, with our world. When we can identify our own physical, emotional, and spiritual feelings, we know what direction we are invited to expand. So if you don't know, let your kid, let someone who is pretty energetically sensitive, ask them, and they'll help you discover it because they can see it. You can count on that. So we're at a time of tremendous changes and shifts, and I'm here to continue to invite you to explore those. So thank you very much. This is Denise Dryden. You can find me on DeniseDrydenCoaching.com. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.